Are you at risk? 10 signs you could be fired soon. Life can sometimes throw you a curveball. You might experience sudden learning curves because there are very few predictable human activities. Unpredictability surrounds almost everything we do as humans. Only a few people see a job layoff coming because, in many instances, you might feel like you're doing everything right, contributing your fair share in the best way possible. So, a layoff is the last thing on your mind. In most situations, the news of your layoff can come as a sort of rude awakening, more like a surprise. It might be difficult to accept immediately and even in the years to come. But one thing that is always unifying in all these experiences is that very few people are oblivious to the warning signs that might have preceded the actual layoff. If you can recognize the signs that you're about to be laid off from your job, then you have a better chance of improving, especially if it's within your control. This time, you can dedicate a lot of time meeting influential people within the organization in an attempt to clean up your image and perhaps, in the long term, prevent what is about to happen. In the course of this collection, we will talk about the visible signs you need to watch out for if you're about to be laid off from your job, so you don't get caught unprepared. From downsizing that is inevitable following mergers to periodic performance reviews that can be real red flags you need to recognize. Losing your job can be discouraging, especially in a time of unpredictable growth and a lot happening in the business world. Losing your job suddenly can shock you, especially if you're the type who has deep roots within the establishment. Here's how you can know in very little time if you will be laid off. This way, you can ease the pain for yourself and get back on track in very little time. Let's dive in. Signs you might be laid off soon. 1. You're being increasingly excluded. One of the best ways to know that you might be laid off soon is if you're being excluded from crucial decisions for the institution or if you're no longer invited to important meetings, tea receptions, and other essential community gatherings. This can also be obvious if you're the type who has risen to become part of the highest level of the company. You should be worried if this is your situation at work. Naturally, you are regularly part of the company's decision-making process, so suddenly being excluded and not knowing much about what's happening can be a real red flag to consider. Even if there might be rare situations where this happens for other reasons, if it's becoming increasingly difficult to access relevant company data that would help you improve your work data, which you previously had access to, your mail is excluded from the company mailing list, and you're not receiving those crucial emails, you might need to start looking for alternatives. All this can happen rapidly in succession and indicates that there are chances the company's management or the platform you work for has undoubtedly lost the confidence they once had in your abilities, and this will very likely leave you exposed when layoffs begin. 2. Negative reviews keep coming. Negative reviews don't stop coming in the true sense of what could be a bad review of your work or query assigned to ascertain how you took some crucial decisions or used company resources. All this might not directly indicate that you're about to be laid off. The negative evaluation you receive might not necessarily translate into the bad omen of an impending layoff. It can also mean serious trouble when these reviews start coming. There is a trail of warnings, then perhaps you should start packing your bags. With the periodic warnings you receive, it is very likely that at crucial moments, your employer might simply have to look at all the files on the table regarding every employee and might have to make decisions that way without having to meet you in person. It is more likely that our performance evaluation is conducted to highlight the gray areas. Michael Kerr, a widely recognized corporate speaker, is also of the same opinion. The famous author of Home Advantage has stated that more than one evaluation in rapid succession is a bad sign. Although, depending on when the first critical evaluation was given, you might be able to change your fortunes. But when it comes in rapid succession, your job might be in trouble. When your reviews are full of discouraging phrases in rapid succession, then you might find yourself in big trouble. When you see phrases or comments like, "You're not a good fit for our work culture," "Your style doesn't fit our aspirations," "You're not a team player," "You have a big attitude problem," then perhaps it's time to move to a more suitable place. Seeing or hearing comments like these conveys the central message that your attitude is considered irredeemable, and you are increasingly seen as unfit for the job. 3. You have fewer projects coming your way. This is another right way to know that you might be laid off soon. There is a high chance that your employers at the top are thinking that he or she will be laid off soon, so why bother assigning many projects? If you don't realize it, you try to get more projects to work on, you feel suffocated, and no one is ready to collaborate with you. This could be a sign that you're not being assigned much work. At least, it has been that way for some time, and you don't know what to think. Well, this is a possibility, and overall, your work life is becoming increasingly difficult. This could be the time to mentally move on from your job so you won't be too shocked when it finally happens. 4. Your job has suddenly become very difficult. This is also one of the commonly invisible signs that you're about to be laid off from your job. People are not quick to recognize it because they are quick to interpret it as the boss having confidence in your abilities and wanting to give you more tasks to perform. But there is also the possibility that you are being set up to fail. This can become even more recognizable when you are assigned tasks that are in no way related to your competencies, and you have to keep running from one pillar to another to get the work done. When you think about it, this has deviated a lot from how roles were assigned to you when you started working. Now it seems that while you are given a small canoe to paddle through the Niagara Falls, experts have constantly postulated that poor leadership mostly adopts this method. There is the possibility that there isn't enough evidence to pin you down, but by increasing the tasks assigned to you, you are being set up for failure. You can't meet any of the numerous deadlines assigned to you, you are considered incompetent, and you are quickly fired without any notice. In most cases, you are ignored. This seems very obvious, but many won't understand the message anyway. They are quick to attribute it to personal ethical conflicts or perhaps someone outside the workplace problems. In some cases, well, this can massively mean that you're about to be laid off. It seems like you're working extraordinarily, or your boss seems to be watching your every move. You feel like you have a target on your back, and other colleagues are staring at you more and more. You feel uncomfortable in a place where you want to share drinks and make playful jokes. Now it seems like everyone is waiting for your mistake. Well, here is your signal. You feel betrayed. There is a lack of trust in the workplace that makes it seem like you are being ignored. United with this, you seem so stagnant in completing your projects. Your boss has warned you many times. Regardless of the angle you choose to look at the thing or the relationship you feel you have with your boss, receiving a warning is never a good thing. Take note, if you have received verbal warnings, periodic written warnings, then there is a high probability that you have bad news coming. A boss who decides to warn you highlights how direct leadership chooses to work with colleagues. When you receive warnings or reprimands from time to time, this could be an indication to start packing your bags. 5. Your perks are rapidly disappearing. This is a perfect way to start considering finding a way out. The perks you enjoy at some point are gradually being taken away. Take, for example, your work colleagues are being sent to a conference in Ontario, and everyone flies business class while you are asked to pay for the ticket or told to fly economy. Your corner office is taken away, and you are transferred to a smaller office. The perks you enjoy at work are those you deserve, and if you have the feeling that they are gradually being taken away, then you have the right to be worried. You won't be complimented for your work anymore. People or your boss appreciate what you do for the company. The way you complete the tasks assigned to you is surely important, but when you start to notice that no one seems to appreciate you anymore, you are ignored, and no one cares even if you complete your task or not, then you should start thinking that there might be a fire on the mountain. Being appreciated for what you do certainly leaves a nice feeling, but when it seems that even if you perform a miracle never seen before, you might not be recognized by your boss, then perhaps it's time to start packing your bags because you might be laid off very soon. 6. Teamwork is not for you. For many, they are not the typical people who know how to work in teams. Many prefer to work alone, individually, but for most companies or organizations, structures, you have to take one for the team. Sometimes, most experts in this niche have always talked about it in many instances. Well, if you're the type who doesn't get along with teamwork, then perhaps you need to find something you're more suited for. Your boss seems to be on your case all the time. Finally, this is the last point I would talk about. Sometimes, when your boss seems too insistent and, in your case, you are being asked for updates, time for presentations, your deadlines continue to appear shorter, your boss continues to ask you to report to him or her, don't be quick to interpret this as what would give you an edge over others or a form of preferential treatment. You might be closer to the exit door than you could have imagined. If your boss constantly monitors your work, there is a high probability that you will be laid off very soon, and you might need to start looking for a new job. In the end, all the points that have been highlighted can indicate the fact that you're about to be laid off, but this might not be the case in all circumstances. There are other unique situations you need to pay particular attention to know if you will be laid off very soon. We are interested in discovering your personal experience on the topic. Write it in the comments and feel free to ask any questions. We will be happy to interact. Feel free to leave a comment so that we can improve the content. Your like would be the cherry on top, and click subscribe to stay informed about upcoming publications.